The following episode of the Carnival of Randomness is sponsored by an important message to you, the people, from Upsitnik and Associates. Every day there are forces that are taking from you, stealing from you. Your money, your time, your freedom. Immense faceless corporations, banks, credit card companies, insurance providers, government agencies, this list goes on and on. When you are under attack and facing crisis, turn to us, Upsitnik and Associates, attorneys for you, the people. When every day becomes a battle, we can advise and assist. We have been advocates for 40 years. Email us through upsitnikslaw.com or call us at 1-866-391-3299 or reach out to us through Upsitnik and Associates on Facebook for a prompt, no obligation communication and consultation. Don't be pushed around.
Benjamin Franklin had a friend who did a hat company, and it was Tom Smith, maker of hats. And Ben said, cut it down, be simple. So eventually there was just a hat. So, Carnival of Randomness, I'm Rob, Zach.
Yo!
And today, what the hell are you doing here still?
Well, somebody left the chair here, so I just plopped my butt right in it.
But we're very, very lucky to have a very good vocalist. We have so much talent in Rochester, and there's another fine vocalist, songwriter, Amanda Stone. Hello.
Thank you.
Well, tell us a little about yourself.
Oh, let's see. I'm a Cancer. I like long walks on the beach. Musician from Rochester, singer, songwriter.
Do you like pina coladas?
I wouldn't turn down a pina colada, that's for sure.
That's been my problem. I haven't turned, especially supple happy hours.
Yeah. Got my coffee, so that's always good too. Yeah. No, I'm kind of all over in Rochester right now. But I love what I do. I get to sing for a living, and that's
How did
pretty
that
awesome.
come to you, though? That's one of my little things. It's like a superhero origin story. Was there a point, did you hear an album or when you were younger, say, wow, this is really what I want to pursue?
So I started taking voice and piano lessons around like 7, I want to say, because I really liked singing. I would sing around the house. And so I finally started getting a little bit of lessons, and the piano, for as long as I've played, I'm not as fantastic as I would like, but the singing I loved it.
That means
I
you're really good,
absolutely
though,
loved it.
because anybody who says they're not that good is always better than the people.
Right. Well,
I believe that. I always think, because anybody who doesn't think they can get better, when you think you're the greatest ever,
Oh, no,
unless you're Gothic Toad.
I say I'm terrible when I am lousy.
right. Yeah, sometimes it's true.
But he's
right?
honest.
Yeah.
That is true. My piano playing skills.
Well, it's like, like Greg, you
have
can
long
always
since
get
gone
better
away.
on your drums. I'm sure you try new styles and everything else. It's like, you're not complete where you say, I'm not going to try to get better and improve or anything.
Well, you have to
Right.
keep at it, yeah, because if you just do your favorite licks all the time, it just gets old.
Yeah. But, I used to play piano out, but I just don't enjoy it as much. I like being able to move around. I like being able to get lost in the song. I found when I played piano out, my fingers just stopped working at a certain point, so vocal really kind of took over, and I started singing in choir at church and, all the school functions and national anthems and things like that. And it's just carried through. I ended up going to school for it. And
It's funny because what I've heard, it's a trend that so many musicians I've talked to lately, they sing in church.
I was going to say,
Like literally,
a
you
lot
could
of
go
them
to one
started off in the
church,
church choir.
there would be literally, this week, Hannah PK, Mark Bradley. It would be like a rock show in church. It'd be awesome. And I could see why, because of gospel music. Because I know I liked old Sam Cooke, and a lot of those came out of gospel.
Yeah.
And you really stretched the vocal cords and everything.
yeah, well, and I think a lot of kids, that's your first real exposure to live music. It was for me especially. It was someplace that my parents took me, and I actually got to hear and see live stuff. I mean, my parents weren't rock concert going kind of people. So, it was one of that, like, oh, well, I want to do that. That looks like a lot of
You're
fun.
lucky you're not in my school because we just basically did Christmas choir so we could skip class.
Right.
And then we were up in the thing, and I admit I lip sync some of the stuff and everything.
Yeah.
And then I'm going, well, now as I'm going brown nosing for God, Santa better bring me a lot of goodies. But
It's this whole thing with music in the schools and how it's eroding away. That bugs me because I remember going in grade school. They took us to like the Eastman, and they put on some stupid little RPO thing, RPO light, of some sort. But as a young kid, you're going, wow, and you hear all these sounds and how it goes together, and it makes. And if you have a musical brain, it feeds into that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a shame that they downplay art and music in schools.
yeah, we had an quote art class that we met in the basement. We worked with fabric crayons, and it wasn't scheduled. We would have it once, and it would go away.
Yeah.
Then it would come back. And for music, we had one nun playing acoustic guitar one time, and a priest came in and tried to say Salisbury Hill was a recruitment song for the church. And I was saying, look, and the scary part is for me, I got in trouble one time because one of my teachers said she was a big Beatles fan and said George Harrison wrote Hey Jude. And I said, but I was into music since I was a kid. And I'm like, I don't think Peter really meant it for that. I think it's about his experience of seeing something, but I just shut up. And,
Well, I think, with the school thing as well, I think it's good to have, again, that exposure to it, to see a live performance and go, wow, that looks really interesting. Like, that's something that maybe I want to do. I think exposing kids to that early on really creates that passion and that drive and that love. And then if you actually get the opportunity to do it, and then you're like, oh, yeah, like this is what I want to do. Right. This makes me feel
We
amazing.
went once, and I remember I was really transfixed by like the harp.
Yeah.
And you see,
maybe you were meant to be a harp player, and you just don't even know it.
I'm a devil more than an angel. That's the problem. Well, I had my accordion. My dad had an accordion. I always used to go to Sibley's and get those little horns or kazoo things and play those. I played some keyboards badly. I'm not the musical talent in the family. But did you ever is there an album or a vocalist that you saw and thought, wow, this is somebody I sort of want to be like? Or did you just get your own style? Or was it a mix?
It was a little bit of a mix. But, when I was a little bit younger, Whitney Houston was probably, she was a big deal for me. Christina Aguilera was an amazing vocalist. She still is an amazing vocalist. Aretha Franklin. So, yeah, I definitely had singers that I loved singing their stuff. I loved listening to.
Aretha always. I went to Toronto to see her. She was at the Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
Jammed, literally. It was at this little park thing. Didn't matter with her voice.
Oh,
you could have been. I think I could have just stayed here.
I saw her at the Rochester Jazz Fest when she came. And it was, it sounds corny, but it was life-changing. It was just amazing to watch her.
It is, though, and that's the thing I love about live music, too, and trying new artists like a Jazz Fest or something. You go on the agenda and you look, and like John Mayer played here before he was John Mayer.
Right.
He opened. The headline didn't show up. He played a 4-hour set. Wow. And imagine you go back, the White Stripes played at a Bug Jar Festival. Imagine you can always tell that story. Like, that band there? I saw them with 10 people. Right. They blew the room out.
Yeah.
And I know your favorite vocalist was Marcel Marceau, right, Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool, and Rochester definitely has a lot of amazing talent, and people come through that are kind of nobody at the time, and it's really cool to watch their progression.
I've seen with like some of your music I listened to, do you have a little jazz influence, or is that just me?
It's really funny because my style has morphed so much. Even this last year has just been a whirlwind for me, but in such an amazing way. I got a few speakeasy gigs down in Syracuse, so I started picking up that 1920s, 30s, 40s thing, nice. And then I'm working with this band over here, and I'm doing this genre, and I'm working with this band over here and doing this genre. So I've really had to learn a lot more material, but it's really cool because I really like seeing kind of almost the bluesy, like Alana Miles. Black Velvet's one of my favorites to sing.
Saw her open for Robert Plant.
Yeah.
Are you the other person that bought her CDs? Because I was like,
I know I did too.
Rockin' Horse did a couple. She did a couple CDs.
Black Velvet was about albums. Was about Elvis.
Yes. Yep.
But what was the other one? Rocking Horse.
Rocking Horse. She did an album called Rocking Horse.
She's great. Well, I love to do games at my shows just to keep the audience, engaged and intrigued. And I always try to do artists, and nobody ever gets it.
These guys do it too. Like with some of his shows, they'll give away a CD if you could announce it, right. And I just shut up because I know who I've been to the shows.
Yeah, but it's nice because somebody would not know who that is. They know the song. They're singing along to the song in the back of the room, but they have no idea who the artist is.
How many times have we all done that? We're singing something, we have no clue who the hell
sang
it.
Well, what I hate the worst is one time, like Trivial Pursuit, me and my friend are playing, and I hate when you blank on something that you know. Yeah. And it's like, where did the Beatles start? And Cabin Club, obviously. You sit there. And I've had that with songs, like when you played songs, like when Susie's played them, like, who the heck is that by? Like, Baby It's You. Right. And I would forget. Yeah. And then I don't want to, I know who that song is by. You did a great version of.
Yeah.
So I could sing.
Have you
Thank
ever heard
goodness
the
for the
Beatles
Google.
version? The Beatles version of it is
Oh
great.
yeah, I have it on one of theirs.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that you actually answered the question a little. My really good friend Vicky, and this is something everybody should look to get involved in. She's doing some shows every month where it's called "Being Out of Your Comfort Zone," where her punk, sort of a punk grunge band, they did acoustic with upright bass. Is there some style you'd want to ever try? You sound like you've done most of
Oh
them
my
already.
gosh, I would do anything. I mean, really. I've done musical theater. It's just, I like the new opportunity because it drives me to learn new stuff, to learn new styles, to hear music maybe I haven't heard before. So I like having that musical, expansion in my brain of learning new stuff. It's always great.
Music
to
can
do.
make you go in other places. I remember I was
Yeah.
at one cafe. I heard a Justin Bieber song, so I left and went somewhere
Right.
else.
It's like it definitely moves you.
But
like
I call it,
sometimes I'll be
and I've
driving and I'll
used
hear
the
that and I
term.
want to drive off
I've
the
always
road.
said music is a gateway drug in a good way. It's not the stuff that you end up, on the street, on the garbage can or something, need help. It's you found when I got Nick Lowe's Jesus of Cool. That took me because it was sort of pop but sort of alternative.
Right.
Then you were something else. Then you were something else. Then you try this.
Yeah.
Then you try jazz and and I remember Bill Murray came here a couple years ago of all things. And what he did over a 2.5 hour show, what he would do was read old like Mark Twain, and they would sing old American songs like Stephen Foster, Tales of the War, and all this stuff.
Cool.
And you can always find something else.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
always great.
Yeah.
You should get into the Tom Waits birthday tribute next year.
Yeah. Oh, that would be fun. That's coming up.
Oh yeah, because he wants
It's
some
in
good
December.
vocals for the drummer.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm the house drummer for it usually.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of good women vocalists come up and do some songs. Susie did one. She did the Piano's Been Drinking. And,
Oh, that's a great tune.
but those kind of things. If you get once you get into those things, those are
Yeah.
fun. Because I've done those. I just came off the George Harrison birthday thing too.
Nice.
So, but I share that I like to do a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
So
it's nice. It keeps it fresh too.
yeah, but definitely look into those.
Yeah.
You would find like Tom Waits is something, those great songwriters like
Yeah.
Nick Cave, Leonard Cohen,
Yeah.
all those, and you can always interpret those some way.
Well, and that's really cool too because with the Speakeasy gig, they told us up front. They said the best bands, the ones with most success, are the ones that are taking popular tunes and doing them in a jazz style.
Right.
So we did Bad Guys by Billie Eilish, but we did it jazz. So it was
interesting.
taking, but it's really fun because you can take great lyrics or take great roots of a song and you really can do them in any style as long as you have the
Right.
musicians that can play along with you. But it's really cool and it keeps it fresh. I that's kind of why I like playing with so many different groups.
I've
It
seen
keeps
one
it
of my
fresh.
favorite
Nice.
versions of Sail On by the Commodores by the Super Suckers where they turn it into a country song.
Yeah.
And I listen
yeah.
to that one more than the Sail On
Yeah.
version. And also, but speaking of speakeasies, good sentence. You can also do that. My friends in theater did Measure for Measure, the Shakespearean play. They did it as a speakeasy in the 20s. And before that started, they were playing like Bye Bye Blackbird and all these old
yeah.
songs,
Yeah.
which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, it's really neat. And that way you're also going to engage maybe a new audience. Then you're going to give that song to a new audience that maybe never would go, well, I don't want to listen to jazz.
Right.
Well, you do this jazz song in this new way, and somebody's going to go, oh, wow, that's a rockin' song. And then, it's going to open their musical education.
Well, that's like back in the 60s and 70s and when they had like, the Mantovani strings and all of a sudden they started doing Beatles songs and stuff.
Yeah.
All the long hair people, whatever, all of a sudden they're, oh, that's a nice tune.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you
good
said it was the
words.
Beatles,
Yeah.
they'd be like, oh, I hate those
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah,
Well, Noel
absolutely.
Coward hated him. And I think Noel was just bitter because they were usurping everything. Because Noel Coward had some really mean things to say about him, and I just think that he's probably getting a little older, and maybe bitter because his style wasn't, like that or something.
But no matter what you do, there's going to be people out there that love my music. There's going to be people out there that really dislike my music.
Can't reach everybody.
That's right.
Can't.
That's right. So even the Beatles, there's going to be people who are just like, I don't feel the Beatles, and it is what it is. But
Some bands you just for some reason you just don't get for some reason.
yeah, well, I think it's always a personal connection. That's the one thing I love about music. If I can reach someone who has maybe a same thing that they're going through or can relate to one of my songs and can connect with one of my songs, that's
But do you ever
amazing,
have that somebody will come up to you after a show? Not Greg, probably, but somebody will come up to you and say, wow, did you write that about me?
Well, now that I
you
know,
know, because people always, no, you know, because people, everybody has a universal feelings.
Right. Right.
You know, and then I was going to say, we talked a lot about covers. You write a lot of your original stuff, though.
Yes. Well, I integrate them and I keep them separate. Like I do Blonde for Blue, which is the cover band, but we do actually do a few of my originals in that band as well. And then I have my actual original band. But they're, even from one band to another, the songs are very different sounding just because of the instrumentation and things like that. But yeah, it's really funny because sometimes the originals in the cover band get the most applause, and then, you know, people are like, "Oh, that was a great suit." They think they know it. They're singing along to it, and you're like, "Oh, that's amazing!" You know, that they're singing my song. They don't really even know the song, but I haven't yet had somebody come up and be like, "Is that about me?" You know, yeah. But
not in a weird way, just like a universe. Like somebody's going through something,
but
and
they still
feel...
might sit there listening and internally say, "Wow, she's got it. She understands what I've been through."
Yeah.
Because then you walk away from that going, "Wow, you know, maybe now I need to do something with, you know, those feelings." I don't know.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
It starts a process,
Yeah.
and I think, and Billy Joel even said that, I think, once. He says you have to write about universal concepts,
Right.
and that's how you reach the most people.
Masses of people, yeah.
And do they find you sometimes? Because I always use the example, like my friend Greg Townsend. He said he's driving out. There's a sign that says ATM inside. It became the song ATM inside. He did the once. He sees somebody at night throw a cigarette out of the car. Became sparks on the highway.
Right.
And otherwise, a lot of things come from personal experiences too. I'm sure.
I you know, I really draw from mostly my experiences. I haven't had a generic one like that come in a while. Sometimes I write about other people that are very close to me, things that I know that they're going through. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. Inspiration can come really from anywhere.
From pets.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just in the mood to write and you think of that one great line and it creates a whole song, you know? So. And
that's one thing I was going to talk about too, and I've been asking this. And you can answer this too, Greg, if you want. Doing videos now, and I always say, I use the example of Tom Petty's Don't Come Around Here No More, where he said, it's a very, if you listen to it, it's a dark, serious song, but you look at that video with, I'm sure you've seen it with Alice in Wonderland, and he gets the hat out during the show, and it changed the meaning. And you sort of try to stick to like the theme of your song. You just say, let people interpret what they're going to interpret.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the song for a specific meaning, and it has a certain feel and a certain weight to it for me. And I think that's Seal is one of my favorites, who wrote, you know, I don't put the lyrics in my album for a reason, because people are going to hear what they're going to connect with. If they sing that wrong lyric, it's because in their mind it's saying something else to them, and it's why they're relating and connecting with the song.
That's interesting.
So I think people are gonna relate to it and find those things, and maybe it will have a completely different meaning for them. It's gonna take on a meaning that's makes sense in their life.
Do you enjoy shooting videos? It's like, I bet this ham actor here, if you ever do it, you probably enjoy them.
It's a laborious process.
Yeah.
I love the use of the word laborious. Yeah. Big words today on the carnival.
It's it's not bad. I worked with a really, really great guy. Johnny Q did the video, and he was wonderful. But as much as I get my photo taken and videos, I'm always kind of a little, oh, there's another photo. It's kind of weird.
Nature of the beast.
Yeah,
that's your job.
it is. And everybody says, you got to be used to it.
I look at some of my friends, and I go, I know some of my friends who are very, very shy, and they have to do all this stuff.
I like photo shoots myself. I think they're fun.
Yeah.
You look like your one with Brian for the donation one. You look so serious and macho there.
Yeah, I'm far
but then
from that.
I look at these friends of mine. They go, "That's not them."
Yeah. Well, and that's it too. It's one thing to pose for a photo shoot. Your hair looks all pretty, and it's another to be caught in the middle of a show making a super ugly face because you're just reaching for that note.
Sweaty.
And yeah.
So I have an algae. There goes the snot on the drum. There goes the snot on the drum set or whatever. But I remember, I've done some films, and I always say, you think it's glamorous. We did one shot for 4 hours where we had to sit in a restaurant, and I was just playing an extra, doing my Hitchcock thing. So this is so glamorous. Just to get a shot done, we had to do this 4 hours. And I said, if you really watch it, we had this dessert, and it was like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and you could see, but it's not all glamour. It could be a lot of sitting around.
It's a lot of
whereas
waiting around.
music, I mean, you're you're rolling.
Well, the video that we did was just me, and then my husband actually is the male in the video. And, you know, Johnny was really quick and good. I mean, we did a few takes. We did one take in different locations. I mean, we did a few hours worth of stuff, but, you know, he did a lot of it in post-production and editing and just took the best shots from each location and kind of pieced them together. The one thing I will say that was unenjoyable was that we shot it down in Webster by the water, and it's beautiful. And I'm wearing this cute little dress with no sleeves, and it was cold. It was really,
I saw it, actually.
really cold. So it looks like this beautiful summer day.
Right.
It was not yet quite summer, and it was a little.
Well, you know what, though?
cold.
She brings up a good point. Editing is the real art of
Yeah.
any kind of filmmaking.
Yeah, it really is.
I guess I could say that.
If
for
you
being
look
a
at bad
filmmaker.
editing, like where things just jump to something, it's
Ed Wood.
It's an art, you know. Right. I mean, that's what keeps the storytelling going.
And you're telling a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Link with the song.
Yes.
And I think they also, too, is to find a good collaborator. You find the right filmmaker.
Yeah.
You don't want, I mean, if you find somebody who's like, okay, we're going to do this abstract, you're just going to throw paint on each other and
Right,
watch
right.
stuff run by, and people are going to be, it's a statement.
Yeah, you've got to find somebody who understands the vision that you're trying to portray, you know, or even takes it to that next level, or, you know, suggests things, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. So
Well, how many bands do you have now?
right now I'm
we
running
only
in
can,
4.
we have no, like, time limit on this, so
No,
Wow, I thought I was the only
go
one.
get
that was-
takeout, grab, we'll come back.
Yeah, no.
That's, by the way, that's the Rochester, as I've said, back in the day, I'm old and ancient. Years ago, it would be one person, one band.
Right.
Now, it's a law, I think. I actually yelled at one of my friends because he's only in one band. And they said, you're out of here. Move.
I used to get a lot of grief for being in a lot of projects.
Yeah.
And now,
now
the
you
chickens
were-
come home to roost and everybody's going, how do you get all these gigs? I said, because I answer the phone and I say, okay.
right, yeah.
You know? And it's like, you can't just stick with one thing.
You only answer the phone because you want to do that cereal commercial and you're hoping they'll call from
That's
Captain
right.
Crunch. And you say yes. Oh, I agreed. Did you ever do that? Did you ever do that, though? I agreed to do what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's like, wait, why am I here?
yeah.
So I swear, I've always said I'm the only person in Rochester not in a band or in the film industry.
Right. There's a lot. There's a lot.
But how many are
do
you
know.
in? Like,
I run 4 right now. I have a very
Let's see.
beautifully
Who's
color-coded
ahead? You
calendar.
Probably her.
Yeah, it's hard work sometimes keeping them, you know, lined up correctly. Like I had to leave Brass Taxi last year. I loved Brass Taxi. It's a great group of guys. Wonderful, wonderful to play. High
auditioned
energy,
for them once.
tons of fun. But you know, I was trying. Let me back up. I do this for a living. Like I homeschool my daughter Monday through Friday. I have a couple other little side jobs, but this is my source of income. This is how I support my family. This is how I support. So I need to work. I love to work. Don't get me wrong. I love my job. I get paid to sing. It's fantastic. But at the end of the day, I need the paycheck.
My budget's screwed if I don't do gigs.
Right.
and I tell
So-
people, that's why the one thing I am serious, we were late on here, but I'm very serious about people where I say, if you enjoy these musicians, buy their stuff. It's not
Yeah.
like
That's where
they
the
don't
money
get, they
comes
don't
from.
write
Buy
up,
the
from,
shirts,
you know,
buy the
don't burn.
albums.
If you want, what I always do, if I like something, or I think a friend will, I will buy extra copies and say, here, try this out, because I'm not going to burn it.
Right.
You know, go
right.
do that for like some $10 million,
Yeah.
you know, because it's, you know, you don't realize they don't pull up in limousines.
Right.
You know, it's
And
your
albums
living.
are not
It is a
cheap
living.
to make
No.
at all. Yeah.
But it's a living, though. It's like it's
Yeah.
a job. It might be it's very enjoyable. They love it,
Right.
but still they got to pay the bills.
Absolutely. Well, and that's why, you know, it came down to where I was booking so much of Blonde Over Blue in my original stuff and working with, you know, so it became a conflict of interest where, you know, they weren't able to play as much as they would have liked because
Right.
I was kind of blocking it out. But at the same time, I needed to do what I needed to do. So it works out now because, you know, Blonde Over Blue is mine. Amanda Stone and the BBE is mine, and I do all the booking. So I line up my calendar really nice.
There you go.
Well, so
I-
it's
you know-
amazing. Some people, like some of my friends, they'll be touring with one band, come back with another, play
Yes.
another. But I've always wondered if any of you guys, you're in so many bands, I admit, I feel sorry for whoever does it, but I want to see it. I want to see somebody like do the wrong song from a
I was
different
gonna
band
say,
when they're in
that
the
has to have
Oh,
happened
yeah.
at some point.
I've done that with endings.
Yep.
We have a lot of
Yes.
cover songs and it's different bands, and you
Yep.
think, okay, who ends it like this? And
The
I
format's just enough off where
And that's gotten confusing
Yep.
sometimes. I'm like, damn it.
Been there, yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is I always say covers versus originals. There's always, I
Yeah.
think, a passion with the originals. But I
Yeah.
think the key to the cover, now, if you're in one of those, what do you call them, tribute bands, or then you're supposed to do them note to note. But otherwise, I think the key is you make them your own.
Well, I don't think you have a choice. You know, like Blonde Over Blue, we are a trio. It's keyboards, it's drums, it's myself. So we are not going to play any song that we do like the original because we can't. We physically can't. You know, so I think no matter what, it's going to be our own. We change endings and things. We change solos. You have to.
Yeah.
So it is inevitably going to become your own. You know, absolutely. But I think every band, you know, makes them their own in a way.
And I always
you
think the
know?
key for me is always the way to do it. It's like Dylan said, Hendrix's Watchtower. That's the one to listen to. It's like I'd love to say, well, I love their version, but that cover even takes it to another.
Yeah. But you even the original artists, you know, Aretha changed Respect. She would do it different at different shows. You
Dylan
can find
did every
live
show
endings
Dylan
was
does.
different.
Right.
Because
You
when I
know?
saw Dylan, every show, you would sit there watching Bob Dylan going, okay, I've heard, what the heck is that? He changes the songs like he does Like a
Yeah.
Rolling Stone, because how many times has he played it?
That's the one thing I've always wanted to ask somebody. It's like, I know you had a hit back in 1960, and here it is, 2000, and you're still playing the same song. Like, how does that feel to do that?
The Beach Boys.
You know, yeah, they're still doing. I mean, they're still writing, which is fantastic. But no matter how much new stuff they put out, people still want to hear that song.
I know,
You
but
know?
I think if I was them, I would take it as a compliment.
Right.
That 50 years after the fact,
Oh, absolutely.
it's still relevant.
Well, I
But
remember
are you tired of playing it at that
I
point?
saw
Not for the
Duran
checks.
Duran. I saw Duran Duran one time, and they put a new album, Astronaut, out, and Simon comes out and he says, "Oh, don't worry, we're going to play the old stuff, but they want to play." Some people will say, "I don't want to do this unless we do new material as well." Other people, but then don't ever be like Pete Townsend of The Who. Where there's an interview with him where he says, "I played the stuff because people like it. I don't enjoy it at all."
Well, and that's it. Yeah, it's got to get. I mean, I think that's why too. When they do live version and stuff, they're mixing it up because I think it's more for themselves than anything.
It's
you
a
know?
very good point, though.
I had an experience like that when I was in Atlantic City with a show band. I did that for a few years. I went to Europe and stuff like that. So it was. I walked into this band and they already had all this stuff booked. So
Right.
it was kind
That's
of
nice. That's nice. Yeah.
But we did a show and Gary Puckett was playing he had his brothers from remember the Union Gap.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had his brothers, a couple of his brothers, and had another band, and he was writing some new stuff. And I got to talk to him because we all went out for beers or something after. It was kind of fun, but. He says, "Yeah, I'm trying to do this new stuff, and everybody just wants to hear, And it's fair. He was kind of bummed about it. I mean,
Yeah.
you're always
It's
fighting
discouraging.
that, yeah, because it's people don't get it. I mean, you're trying to move on, and they've got you on a snapshot
right.
in their
Absolutely.
head, and that's why these nostalgia things. You must just these guys go out there. I'm sure they take the money and run.
I've seen this. I've seen that with some bands where they're very good musicians, but you could see they're going through the motions.
Yeah.
And I know, like Robert Plant, for example, when they did that reunion show, he finally agreed to do "Stairway to Heaven" just in the middle of the set. He said he doesn't want to play it, and it's just something. I'm a different person now.
Well, yeah, and if you
He's a great
can't
example.
relate to the song anymore, I mean, it's probably changed so much for him that
Right.
if you can't connect with your own original music anymore because you've changed so much, it's got to be hard to perform those songs, especially with the passion that the crowd wants with
Right.
them, because to them they are still those songs.
It's
you
still
know what I
that
mean?
person hearing
Yeah.
his favorite
And
song.
then-
Right.
And then people walk away, go, "Oh man, you didn't put nothing into it."
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, yeah.
And then you're screwed either way.
And then the other one too is you're always going to have those people who you might put on a great set, but why didn't you play? You didn't play that one.
Right. Well, and I think that's hard for bands too. I mean, there are some amazing bands that have been around a long time, but then you get those one-hit wonders that, I'll say like Alanis Morissette for one, like Jagged Little Pill. That's her album.
Right.
That made her. That was her. Anything she's done subsequent is like meh, but people want to hear
Right.
that album.
So she
for-
did an acoustic version of it, I think, recently.
Yeah, but that's it. Like for that artist, usually an artist has that one album that is
Right.
just the best that band has been, the best that the artist has written. They have that one album that just knocks it out of the park, and then you have Rolling Stones and things like that who are writing constantly and doing
Right.
that constantly. But for a lot of bands, it's that one album. And that's the album they're going to play the rest of their lives.
And
Right.
some of them,
You know?
maybe they'll go in a way they'll look at it, go, it's nice to be remembered for something, and you might think, damn, those are some pretty good songs.
Right.
But after a while, it's like if you have your favorite food every day, you're going to want something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I could live on pizza.
Yeah. No pineapple, though, right?
No pineapple.
They put cherries on pizza now, I guess, too, in some
they
places.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my
you don't have to
gosh.
eat them.
I think people just need to calm down about the pineapple thing.
Yeah.
Scorpions, actually. They
Like
put
this.
scorpions on
Calm
pizza
down.
at one place, too.
Oh.
We're going to have a dare on this show. Greg's going to
If you
eat
can,
it.
if you can
thanks.
justify putting arugula, the worst thing ever created by Satan, on food and call it a food, then
Yeah.
pineapple could go on pizza.
That's
But
right,
let's talk a little about the CDs and everything. And I always say, going again way back when, I always used to say that some bands, they were great around here, but they would sound what I called local because of the recording techniques years ago. Now I think it's amazing, like for doing films, recording, you can get them out sound, but the whole process, do you enjoy the process and everything? And
Yeah, the first album, Full Moon, took a really long time. It was piecemeal. It was little by little, and it took a lot of studio time. The second album, I was so blessed to work with John Bellick. He produced the album, and he's masterful. He's a master of his craft. And I came to him with like these bare-boned, shoddy piano tunes, and he really just worked his magic. And I had amazing musicians that come and sit in, and it was such a new experience for me, and it was such a learning experience for me. I absolutely loved it. I loved
magic of the
every
studio,
moment of
huh?
it.
I love recording. It's a blast.
Well, I mean, it wasn't necessarily studio magic, but he gave me insights because he really is masterful. And he's like, do this lyric kind of like this.
Right.
And it was just enough where it kind of changed my singing style a little bit because I was like, oh, it sounds so much better, so much
Because they're
different.
actually listening to it, and you're just there. It's yours, but you're not interpreting it because when they listen to it, a good producer hears all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the neat part.
Yeah. And it's funny hearing yourself back. You're like, that's not what I sound like. That's still
that's
weird
awesome
for
too.
me.
That's why I admit I rarely listen to these.
I never
because
listened to that, and all the writing I did, I never read anything I ever wrote.
Really?
But what I would do is I would have somebody read it to me
Oh, yeah.
and see how they would read it. So it's kind of like when the producer hears it, they're hearing it from
A different perspective.
a different perspective. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right at all, but that's how they were interpreting it.
Right.
Or even like doing films. I can watch the films I've dabbled in because I'm really not in them, but also you can catch the behind the scenes like, oh, that's a real serious moment. Remember when they were shooting the scene and you coughed and blew the snot all over and we had to cut it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's never happened
No,
once.
the Lust and Love album was an amazing process. And I was so fortunate in so many ways.
Are
with
you
that
freezing
album.
here? Or this is the same thing as the video.
No, that was actually a warm day. The photo on the cover was a warm day. It was a little breezy. Again, we did it down by the water. But
Now, see, that's an interesting. Well, obviously this is radio, but your hair is in front of your face.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would say, "Well, I don't want that picture because you can't see my face."
Yeah.
It leaves an
And-
air of mystery.
You're right.
But it's a cool picture because it's got movement. It has
It's dynamic.
It's interesting.
Oh, and you
Yeah.
will see it.
As
We'll
it
put a
were.
picture. We'll put a picture
Yeah,
up with
I'll
it too.
throw stuff
But
up
the
on
thing
the
about that,
interwebs.
that's I guess goes back to the Beatles' Abbey Road album, where the shot they showed in the back when the woman walking by, that wasn't planned. They did a bunch of them, but then the woman just walked by oblivious, and they said, "Hey, that's the best shot."
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best one is the one that has the weird thing in it.
Right. Well, and I didn't want a high school photo where I'm staring at the
Yeah.
camera and doing like, hey, I
You
wanted
voted
it to
most
be a
likely
little-
to sell this album.
Right, right.
You know,
Or folding your arms and looking all serious.
With your back up against the
there's
guy
always,
next to
you know, I use the term bands waiting in line for the bus. You ever look like an album
Yeah,
cover?
right.
These guys are all waiting in line for the bus
Yeah.
on here. That's all you're doing.
Because not far from where I live, there's an old barn. You've seen it, the Knickerbocker.
Yeah.
It's a prime photo spot.
Oh, yeah.
So every time I drive by, especially in the fall, there's always people out there taking pictures, and they all look the same, like staring up into the sky as if pontificating or pondering the wonders of the universe.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're in front of a barn.
Yeah.
Now the
on,
one
man.
I get
I
always
think it's
is
hard
you,
for album covers.
you forget that one is the one by where you live, there's a huge sunflower field, and you drive by there, there's tons of people. Yeah. And I would dress up like as Judy Garland or one of the characters of Oz. And
I mean, man, that it was like 2 acres of just sunflowers, and cars would stop for miles.
Oh, yeah.
Is it over by Mendon? Yeah. Is that
if you go down by like Clover,
it's off Clover, but the guy has to rotate the field because it destroys the soil.
But you see all the cars. You have to watch out you don't hit a car because they park there, and all the people are. And I would just be like, you had to do something fun with this.
Yeah. I saw that one.
Yeah, I mean, they moved it. I don't know what field he's going to have it in this year. I haven't talked to him.
Yeah,
they'll
find it.
Oh, he's gonna put some because he says always, every year he does.
Out on 104, especially too. There's always those like old rusty tractors or something out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I always think, man, what a great spot to do a band shot.
Right, because it's just something
it's rusty
weird
old thing, school
there.
Bus or something, and just kind of it says something. I don't know.
And then the weird guy comes out of the house.
Yeah.
I think this one was a little easier because when I did the album, I didn't have a quote-unquote band at that point. I had amazing studio musicians who came in and recorded. So it wasn't until after the album that I, put together an actual band to play the music. So it was easier because there wasn't a band to shoot. It was just me at that point. So it was easy just to do a photo of myself. But band photos, they're tricky. Because you want to convey the feel of your music through a photo, which is really, really hard to do. Yeah. Unless you get like live shots, and then
when we get done, I'll show you the Anonymous Willpower CD.
Yeah,
that's interesting because what they did was they just took different pictures that she goes, send me some pictures. So I sent like a picture of, well, you'll see it, but everybody just sending these different pictures, and it's not a band, they're not band shots, they're just shots.
Yeah.
And they changed the background colors a little bit, and so it shows your personality more than anything else.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm one of those record people too, because these are cool covers. Yeah. And that was always the idea of the record, where it's like you can look at it as like the old Yes album covers. Right. It was always when they were cheaper too, just go and buy a stack of them because of the covers. Yeah. And that's how you get in there. And this like catches the eye and everything. And I always say keep it simple. You don't want tons of. Yeah. And I always look for like animals in the background of nature shots. Right. That looks like looks like a little baby almost, but it's not. It's like a doll. No, it's a rock though.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
The title.
Yes.
So are you talking about the differences between the two emotions or the two things or the joining of them?
Or is it that they go hand in hand a lot of the time?
Well, I'm just curious.
It's kind of everything that's written about on the album. So there are songs about love, like the one about my daughter called Ella's Song. And then there's some lust songs on there as well. Okay. So it was funny. My drummer goes, "We're going to play the Dirty Girl song." I'm like, "Which one is that?" He goes, "They're all Dirty Girl songs, Amanda." I'm like, I know. But no, they're kind of all about lust and love. And I was kind of in a finding myself kind of point of my life. And
no, it's honest. I'm just
Isn't it beautiful therapy though when you can get it all out and everything? It's just amazing. Sometimes I wonder. Some people write stuff so personal. I'm like, but I love like one of my friends wrote one song. She told me was about. It's like, what is that? It's really I can relate to that one. And she said, "Oh, that's about somebody I just never want to see again." Well, it's not a
right. Well, and that's it. That that's that whole. It's going to take on the meaning that you feel. Right. But yeah, they're all personal experiences, personal, feelings, things that I've gone through. And you just hope somebody else can relate to them.
You really can't have one without the other, though.
Right? No, you really can't.
You really have to have both lust and love to make it all complete experience.
Yeah, they're very intertwined.
Well, look at this. We got a philosopher.
Join us next week. Join us next week.
Why don't you go through
I'm just trying to help the girl out.
Why don't you go through the platonic versions of love? The friendly ones, the lust ones, the love ones. Yeah. Let's just have the whole audience have to go grab the books. Did you like your mother? Or did you ever see, actually, Art School Confidential? Did you ever seen Art School Confidential? No. Okay, the one teacher, it just made me think of it. Anybody would write like this one kid that's all like these scribbles. Any bad thing, she would just go, "Did something happen with your father?"
Right, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Are you having troubles, inner turmoil?
And then gigs, and I think you really, again, you enjoy performing.
Oh,
you
I
love it.
it.
You can, and I always say you could tell. It's like, and one of the things I was going to say, if you had any like what experience we had for musicians. Any interesting is the reason I'm bringing this up is he mentioned tractors. One of my friends got a gig, his band, at the Allen tractor pull, and he said, "You've never seen anything like a tractor parade, but isn't it amazing? Wasn't it awesome to open up and say, okay, we're going to do this, and then you go see the tractor parade?"
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, we've had some weird gigs before. I played on flatbeds of semi-trucks in the middle of a field.
Steve Whitbeck did for Halloween.
I think we've all had our
Moving?
fair share. No, stationary. I mean, when we got it rocking, it was moving around, but it didn't roll anywhere. Thank goodness.
I did some weird gig in the winter down in Charlotte in a pavilion when they had hay bales and ice, and I was like, "What are you?" I think it might have been the polar plunge. I don't know what it was.
Well, did your hands?
But and I'm playing with gloves on. You know, it was like,
Whitbeck said that they played with band Tombstone Hands. They played at one of the pumpkin farms. They dressed up, and he said it was great. Everybody, but he said he was freezing.
Yeah, I did a gig with Twilight, which is another band I play with, and
I know them.
they were doing this place in Buffalo, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And they had us kind of outside, and it was blocked in, but there was no heaters. I did the entire show in my coat because it was freezing out. You could see your breath.
Twilight, the band. The band, not the movies.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how. And for me, it's the weather definitely affects your voice, and it's harder to sing in the cold. But I don't know how the guitar players do it when your fingers start to go numb.
I've asked that. I've actually asked friends of mine about that. Does it affect your drum set? Because I've asked friends about their guitars, how drums, especially like my friend Greg Townsend, he has an old Silvertone from the 60s, and it really...
I mean, it affects everything. It has to. There's no way it can't. You know what I mean? But
I always give this example. I've used it tons of times on here. You've heard it before, whoever listens. Hayes Carl, the country songwriter. Him. He's great. I love him. But he started out at a bar in Galveston. Okay. So he starts out playing happy hours on Wednesdays. So the ad for him was... Wednesday happy hours for $6, a pitcher of beer, a bucket of wings, and Hayes Carl.
That's good promotion right there.
Okay, I would have been there.
Pizza, Amanda Stowe.
Right, yeah.
And then you get the pizza.
Oh my gosh.
You were talking about the 20s stuff. Does anybody remember the old Penny Arcade on Lake Avenue? Right?
Of course.
It used to be a Shakey's Pizza Parlor.
Oh, really?
And that was done, and I think there was a show. If I remember correctly, I believe it was NBC. It was some sort of, but the guy had the striped shirt and the armband and the straw hat, and he's playing all this ragtime type stuff. And then Shakey's Pizza was supposed to be like a chain of things like that.
Oh, gotcha.
And it was interesting. You know, I mean, it's too bad it's not there. And there's probably one around someplace.
Yeah, I love the speakeasy we did in Syracuse. It's called the Fritz, but it's a restaurant upstairs. And literally you have to go into the restaurant, and there's a door in the corner, unmarked, a door.
How cool.
That's it. And it goes down into the basement.
You have a password?
There's no password. You just got to find the door, which is a struggle sometimes. But yeah, it goes right down into the basement, and it's just this amazing vibe. It's very, very cool. But like true speakeasy fashion. Like it's not like... Come down.
There's one bar where they had a theater on top, but you would have to look for it, and you would feel like an idiot looking around, finally going, where is it?
I didn't realize Syracuse had some cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's actually a building in Fairport, the old Green Lantern. They used to have a thing in the basement, too.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's the only thing they need is, but it would probably goof people up, but like knock on the door.
Right.
Say whatever you want. But
yeah. Well, the guy stands there, and he's all in attire, and like everybody dresses, and yeah, it's pretty
That's
cool.
what I love about music, though, because you can go... There's no end where you can go.
Right.
You can go so many different ways and places, and who knows what you'll be doing years from now.
Yeah. I even like, doing the gigs I do. Sometimes we'll have a sub come in, and they know different songs, so it even changes up the set list then, and it gives a whole different feel to the music when you have different players with you, so it's very cool.
Yeah, everybody inspires different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody else has their own strengths and weaknesses, so they always bring something a little different.
I mean, I had sub drummers for about a year and a half or so with Anonymous Willpower, because I had so many other gigs. And I was lucky they didn't get rid of me, but they hung on because, I was like to think I'm an integral part of the band, But
I tossed them a couple bucks.
So anyway, this one guy recorded one of the drum parts on one of the CDs, and I liked what he played, so I just copied that.
Yeah.
Because I was having a little trouble. I said, I don't like what I'm playing, so I just, he's playing what he's playing. Sounds great, so I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
You never know. Sometimes somebody, because we're all different and we all take a different perspective, and you might get something and, wow, I never thought of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's whatever works for the songs mostly. You
Yeah.
know, you can't have your own little. Too much ego is no good.
No, because you're shutting out the possibilities then.
Right.
If you
Add a
yeah.
G and it's a waffle, it's good. Otherwise, it's horrible. But we can find you all over the place. I know I've seen you at Love and Cup.
Plug time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm everywhere.
Is that your
I've got to
website?
come. I'm going
That
to have to
is,
come listen
yeah.
to you guys.
Yeah.
You should.
So my
She's good. I've
website-
seen.
I will.
Nobody
I
I've had on here I haven't heard or seen.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to get somebody on here and say, why'd you have them on?
Yeah, well, it's good to know who you're interviewing. Yeah.
It's like,
But
I like to do different things when I don't have to do gigs. Like, let's go ahead and hear a band. Oh,
right.
something different.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas I'm like, I always go, what's playing tonight? I'm going to go see this. That's how you find new people and everything. You go see who's playing here. Wow, I've heard a little bit about them, and I'll go see them. And
It's fun to be a drunk patron once in a while.
Yeah. I find that's
Or
like,
just drunk.
I find that's like my hardest thing though, is because I work so much. It's so hard for me to get out and see other
Right.
musicians.
It's
You know,
really-
and
it's hard.
I'm a mom, so it's really
I
hard.
got
on
a,
a
I,
Wednesday
I had a
night to
feeling
leave the
about that.
house or-
My friend Todd Bradley was playing, and Greg Townsend was out with me, and he plays. It was weird just watching, and the thing was, they started bantering, but it's like being the spectator. It's
Right.
cool. Or
Yeah.
if you see somebody at a show you really like to see, you don't have to go up there or anything for
Yeah.
once, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, it's funny because I know a lot of people who go out with the intention of like, well, I'm going to go see this band because they'll call me up and I'll get to go play a song.
Right.
But I don't think you should go out with that intention. I think you should go out just to
I
support,
admit,
to support
You
people.
want to make the audience feel part of it, but I paid or I went to see you to hear you. I don't want somebody pulling the mic down on me. It's
Right.
like if I was going to sing, nobody would be here. You know, like Rob Halford would do that, where he'd have the audience sing like the whole song. It's like that's why you're up there, and
Yeah.
you can engage the audience, but the audience perspiration time, clap, whatever else. But no, you play. I don't want to get called. Don't ever any of you call me up there. Susie embarrasses me enough. I announce it because she'll announce me in the crowd like she did the Daily Refresher. I'm like, you're embarrassing me.
I know. I didn't even get up to the bar to get a drink, and she's like, "You want to play?" I'm like, "Wait, I just
Yeah.
walked in the door."
She got me at the Daily Refresher. She starts introducing Rob Schwartz in the house.
Yeah. It's I'll have to tell you though, it's amazing to be able to go support other musicians. I love being able to do it when I'm able to do it.
Right, me too.
Because in turn, it's so amazing when a fellow musician comes to support me as well. It means so much, to have my peers come out to support. To support me. It means a lot.
That's actually Stan Merrill said that about Anonymous Milk Powder to me one time. He was telling a friend come down. He goes, "This is the band other musicians come to see play."
Well, that's really nice.
He said that. No, he did really. Stan the man said that because this was many years ago. So who knows what incarnation it was?
Well, we've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you strive to create a sound and just kind of stay true to it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all you can say.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm sure you're doing.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool. Where can we catch you coming up soon? Where can we find you all over? I know there's tons of places.
Yeah, like this Friday we're at the Beer Market. This Saturday we're at Flaherty's in Macedon. But the website, the www.amandastone.rocks, I actually have all 4 bands running, so you can see what band and where and what time.
Where's the beer market?
That's College Town.
It's down
U of R,
Mount
by
Hope.
U of R, right?
Mount
U
Hope.
of R.
What day is that?
Friday.
This
Yeah.
coming Friday?
Yeah.
I might
Okay.
be able to go to that.
Yeah. I'll
That's
be
close.
there.
That's close enough to this.
That would be.
You'll be there.
You're not
I'll
like
be there.
you're not
Yeah.
like
In
George
Nevada.
Jones of Rochester,
if I
are
see
you?
you
Where you
there, I'll
don't
say-
show up for gigs.
No, it was funny because last night I thought we were at the Beer Market and we were actually out at Embark, and I
Where are you guys?
I kind of just checked it last minute and I'm like, oh, not in that spot.
Would
I'm
you
in a different
imagine
spot.
having all these bands going out somewhere where you're not supposed to play? You think it's open mic, and you just go up there and hog it because you think you're supposed to be
Oh
playing?
my gosh. Yeah, but then you're late to wherever you're supposed to be.
Right.
That's not good. Yeah.
I'm
No,
so.
I haven't gotten to the point where I haven't shown up, which is good.
I'd have to try that because I haven't been there. I mean, I used to actually went to U of R for a bit.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
a
why I
nice
don't want to go
place.
back around
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
when
Well, as
I
long
was
as it's not
there-
Henrietta,
it-
because I'd rather be in the city.
No,
Yeah.
when
Closer
I
to the
was
city.
there was no college town. That was
Yeah.
at ghetto-ass Wegmans.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awesome.
It's changed a
There was
lot.
there was record
Yeah.
archive over.
Yeah, there was a record archive
was
across
I
down
was in
there.
the meat
Well, I
department
heard
at that
that-
Wegmans working.
I heard that U of R actually bought all of
Yeah,
that.
they bought
and
everything.
They own a lot.
did
They
all
own a
that.
lot
Yeah,
of
they-
property.
Yeah,
They
they
do.
tore down the gas station. They tore down the Wegmans.
Yeah.
Turned it into parking, and then College Town came in.
Yeah.
And then you're all over. I mean, pretty much the thing is, we can find you everywhere on your page.
Yes,
links
I'm on,
below,
I'm on
as
Spotify.
usual.
I'm on iTunes,
That is,
Apple Music.
That is the beauty of nowadays to get these things out, because before it was word of mouth. Maybe you got on some things. Now you
Right.
can get the product out.
Yeah, the only downside I would say to that is so can everybody
That's
else.
yes,
You know,
exactly.
so Spotify is flooded. iTunes is flooded. I mean,
Right.
there's so many
all the idiots with
musicians out there.
podcasts.
Like us.
But I mean, it's amazing in some regards. But yeah, it's
You know
still
what? I
really
always say
hard
that's the one. That
because
is. There's always an
a
upside and
lot
a
of people.
downside.
Evil bedroom
And-
musicians.
And the thing, you find a lot of stuff's not very good. And you have to wade through a lot of stuff
Yeah.
too, because there's so much noise.
Yeah.
Number 3,287,415 on the list. Number
Yeah.
1 in your hearts.
Yeah, but it is. It's really hard. You
And
know?
we're going to play a song by you.
it.
Which one would you
yes.
like to play? And you can introduce it so I don't screw it up.
All right.
Especially because I can't read this writing that good with
Yeah.
my contacts, and I haven't slept.
We'll do "Shame on You."
What did I do?
That's a fun one. You'll hear.
What did I know? I didn't. I was up late, but I don't think I
it
did
shame?
anything.
Yeah.
You wrote it about me yesterday.
Shame on you. And see, these are fun too because you get them in the studio, and I had a certain format, and then they got taken over, and bridge section got added, and they kind of morphed in the studio a little bit. So, but I like Shame on You.
You ever try? That's one thing
That's
I learn
always
with a little bit alternative versions sometimes. Where I always say one of my favorites, Elvis Costello's "Accidents Will Happen." I have the alternative where he plays it on piano.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
do that sometimes where you have a big fast song. You could slow it down. There's
yeah.
all kinds of fun
remix
stuff you
versions.
can do. Yep.
Yeah.
I had a weird thing like that. I sent the song out to this publisher, and he sent it back to me, and he put it in. It was a happy kind of a bouncy song, and he put it in a minor key. He changed the whole feel of it. He took the bridge out,
Yeah.
and I listened to it. It's like, wow, it's still my song. It's interesting, but it's
Yeah.
like, wow, it's like, you don't think I never would have thought of it that way.
Right.
And now I'm wondering, well, if I ever do it again, I wonder if I should bring
Should
it
do
back
it like
that
that.
way.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I do have one outtake from that I have personally, and my daughter came to the studio a lot with me because, like I said, I homeschool her and she's with me a lot. So she spent lots of time hanging out in the studio playing video games and whatnot. But I got her to sing the chorus on
Nice.
Ella's song with me. So I have
Old
a
Lang
version.
Syne did one with
I
their
have
kids.
a version with her.
How
There's
nice
one
is
Old
that?
Lang Syne did one with their children on it. That's
Yeah.
just beautiful.
See, I didn't release it. It's kind of more for me. But
Yeah,
Right.
that's
it's
cool.
amazing.
Well, Greg, it's glad we had that guy from Soda gave me his pole and we reeled you in while you were buying donuts and pulled you in the studio.
right.
And thank you really
Here
much
I
for
am.
being here
Oh,
and
thanks for
everything.
having me. It was
And
great.
cool, and we will play Shame on
Shame on you.
That sounds great.
Shame on somebody else, please. Thanks. Bye bye.
Rob's gonna go collapse now.
Gave you a piece of my soul that I can't get back. You happily took it without a second glance. But you only get one chance at my love, one together.